Hey everybody, welcome to ellipses that are translated. So they have a center of h comma k. And when my ellipses are translated, it's kind of like all of the other functions we've been graphing this chapter, just instead of just a quick reminder, you don't have to write this down because it's on your previous page, but the other formula you learned looked like this. Now we're just putting a h and a k in there, and the h comma k is going to be the center. So it very much matches with what we've done with these other graphs. And then a few reminders before I show you how to use these formulas. So just so you know, c squared equals a squared minus b squared, still same thing as before. And then something that I may or may not have mentioned is the a value is the distance from the center to a vertex. So the a value, where it's a squared, a value is the distance from the center to a vertex. And remember, the b value is the distance from, and by the way, I'm really sorry, I'm not sure what's wrong with my computer, but that little virus tag, for what it doesn't do this when I'm at school for some reason, but when I'm at home, this little virus notification pops up about every 5 minutes. So I apologize, it's probably going to get annoying, but I'm not sure how to fix it. So there you go. If anybody has an idea for me, come tell me during class. But anyways, so the a value is a distance from the center to the vertex, to one of the two vertexes, and the b value is a distance from the center to one of the co-vertexes. And actually, I don't know if you have room to write this down too, but the c value is the distance from the center to a focus. So basically what we're going to do is, if we can find a, b, and c, we'll be able to find my other points. And then just before, we had some rules about where my focus and vertex and co-vertex would be. We just are going to use logic now. All right, so first of all, remember, this is key information. The center is h comma k. So if I'm trying to first identify my key points, for example 1a here, I'm going to start by identifying the center. And just like the other graphs, we do the opposite of what you see. So it's a +3 for the x value, a -2 for the y value. So 3 comma -2 is my center. And then just like we did with my ellipses at the origin, whichever number is the bigger number is just my a value. So whichever number is the bigger number, and by the way, you square root it to get the a value, right? Because right here is really a squared. So a squared equals 49. Regular a is 7, and b squared then is 16, so regular b is 4. And here's what this means. I can graph my center at 3 comma -2. And let's go ahead and do that quick. So go ahead and draw on your xy coordinate plane. We'll graph our center. We're going to actually have to count in order to find my vertices and co-vertices. So my center is at 3 comma -2 right there, and always label it with a letter so you know what you're going after here. Now, the a value is with x, so I'm going to go 7 units in the x direction to find my 2 vertices, and remember, a always goes with vertices. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that way to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that way to the left. So let's see here. I'll do this other one first on this left side because that's a little bit more obvious. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's at -4 comma -2. And if I go off my graph here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's at 10 comma -2 for the other vertex. Okay, let's find our co-vertices. So remember, the b value always matches with the co-vertices. This time b is matched with y, so I'm going to go in the y direction, 4 units each way from the center. So first up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice how I'm labeling my points, and down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the way, let's find those quick. So the co-vertex is at 3 comma +2, and the other co-vertex is at 3 comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 comma -6. If you're confused right now, pause and start this example over, because this is really important to understand. So pause and start over if you're not really sure where I'm getting this, or write down questions to ask me. And we have one last thing to do because we have not found the foci yet. And in this situation, since I was given the vertex and the covertex, graphing the foci doesn't really help me, but often we won't be given all that information, so I'll need the foci in order to find my other points. And now, reminder from yesterday, which you have this written down again, but just a quick review. The foci are on the same axis as the vertices. And what I mean is, in my situation, my vertices are going horizontally here, so the foci are going to be on that line somewhere between the two vertices. And I can find my foci by using my c squared equals a squared minus b squared formula. So a squared is 49, b squared is 16, and I'm ending up here with c squared is 33, so c is the square roots of 33. Now, when I'm graphing, it's really hard to tell where square root of 33 is, so it's fine if you type it into your calculator and I discover it's approximately 5.7. So I'm going to go 5.7 units from my center, and I go the same direction where my vertex is. So this time my vertices are in the x direction, so I go in the x direction with my c value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and approximately 5.7 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and approximately 5.7 right there. Okay, and last but not least, we need to find what my foci points are. Now, eccentricity is easy, right? Because that's just the c over a formula. So that's going to be square roots of 33 over, and then a is 7. But to get the foci, this is a little trickier, so listen closely. First of all, you would agree with me, both of these foci, they have a y value of -2, right? Because that matches with what my vertice points. They're all on the same line. So the y value is -2. And now here's what I want you to think of. To get the x value, really what's happening is I start at 3 and I add square roots of 33 this way, or I added 5.7, and I subtract square roots of 33 this way, or subtract 5.7. The way I could represent that mathematically is I'm taking my x value of my center, and I'm adding or subtracting the square roots of 33. So that's what it looks like. 3 plus or minus square roots of 33. Alright, pause if you need to, write down anything, and then we're going to do the second one. If you would like to try this one on your own, go ahead and pause right now, and then you can just fast forward the video afterwards, but I am going to talk through it. Okay, first of all, we'll find our a and our b value. Remember, the biggest number is always the a, and you square root it. So square root of 25 is 5, square root of 4 is 2. I guess I could have found my center first. Oh well. Okay, this time there is no number with the x, so if there's no number with the x, that means it's a 0, really. So my center is at 0, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, there is my center. Then, this time, also, the a value is matched with x. So that means I'm going 5 units in the x direction to find my vertices. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the ordered pair for the vertices then are 5, 4 and -5, 4. Then, my b value is matching with y this time, so my covertices are in the y direction. I'm going to go 2 units to get my covertices in each way. And so my covertices end up having points of, let's see here, 0, 2, and 0, 6. Okay, so I have my plane ellipse. I still need to find my foci. So here's where I pull out the c squared equals a squared minus b squared formula. So this time, a squared is 25, b squared is 4. So c squared equals 21. Square root of 21 is my c value this time. And that ends up being approximately 4.6. So I'll go again in the same direction the vertices went. This time the vertices went in the x direction horizontally. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's hard to even squeeze it in there this time. It's very close to the vertex. There we go. And then same kind of line of reasoning as the last problem. This time the foci that has the same y value as a vertex because they're in the same line here. So the y value for the foci is 4. And then the x value, well, really it went 0 plus square roots of 21 that way, and 0 minus square roots of 21 that way. So 0 plus or minus square roots of 21, and you don't have to then write the 0 because it's just 0, I guess. Okay, eccentricity is square roots of 21 over 5. When you're ready, go on to part C. This time we're going to be making sketches of our graphs, and we're going to have to complete the square. Okay. So remember, when we complete the square, I want to gather together the things that are similar, and if there is a x squared or a y squared present, that is when the completing the square is going to happen, so I'm going to leave a blank then. And in this situation, it looks like I actually have x squareds and y squareds, and that's what you always will have for an ellipse, but that's just something that you want to look out for when you're trying to figure out which type of equation I have. So because I have a y squared as well, I put another blank, and each of these are their own separate little thing until we get to the end. Then this plus 9, I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides to get it over on the right side, and I've got 2 blanks for each of my blanks I'm going to create. Alright, let's do the easy one first. B over 2 squared is 3 squared, which is 9. Okay. And that is going to factor into x plus 3, or x plus 3 squared. Now for the harder one. Remember that you can't complete the square unless y squared's by itself. So for this one, I actually have to first factor out that 4 right there. And so now that y squared's by itself, I can complete the square. My b value is -2. Okay, b over 2 squared, that is 1. Now, pause, because before you write that in on the other side, whenever I have this number in front here, I haven't really added a 1 to this side. I've really added a 4 times 1, so I've added 4. So if you have a number in front of the parentheses, you've got to multiply it by this, because really this is 4y squared minus 2y plus 4, so I do a plus 4 over here. Hopefully that makes sense. Put a little star or circle that if you want me to go over that again tomorrow or clarify. And now let's factor. So let's see here. The 4 is in front there, and it looks like it's going to be y minus 1, y minus 1. So y minus 1 squared. And on the right side, -9 plus 9 plus 4, that's 4. Okay, now before I go any further, my ellipse equation, I'm going to backtrack a second. I'll come back to this in a little bit. My ellipse equation has to have a 1 right there in order to be in this format. Maybe you want to go back quick and write yourself a note also. That must be a 1 for that to be an ellipse formula. So if I go back to the one we were just attempting to do, this is not in the correct form right now because this is not a 1 right here. So I need to make it a 1, and in this time, to make it a 1, I'll divide by 4. Now, here's the deal. This creates some fractions for us. Well, here, I'm going to now have x plus 3 squared over 4. The 4 had nobody to partner with or combine with, so it just sticks there. And then here, 4 divided by 4 is 1. And even though you don't technically need to write a 1, we will, because that'll help our brains out when we're trying to figure out A, B, and C. And then 4 divided by 4 is 1 also. Okay, now I am ready to find my information. And so, again, A is the value, which is the larger one. You square root it. So square root of 4 is 2. So A is 2 with the x in the x direction. And y is going to be, square root of 1 is 1. So I mean to say B is 1. in the y direction. So let's go ahead and find our information. And I kind of got a little ahead of myself because I haven't even found my center yet. Okay, so center is at -3, 1. Let's just make a sketch. And then for now I'll use my information. So the a value is 2 and it's with x. So in the x direction I'm going to go 2 units in each way. Again, using logic to find my other points, I find that my vertices are at -1, 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5, 1. In the y direction, I'm going 1 unit each way for my covertices. So my covertices are at, and that's supposed to be right on that line, I just kind of drew it a little weird. So that should be at -3, 0 and at -3, 2. I'm almost done. I haven't found my foci yet. So c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So 4 minus 1. Square roots of 3 this time. Okay, square root of 3 is a little bit less than 2. So your graph is getting very smashed, but I'm going to do the best I can to draw on my foci. And I look at my foci, and in my head I'm thinking, okay, the y value matches with the y value of the vertices always, so that's going to be a 1. And the x value, it goes from that -3, and then it goes square roots of 3 to the right and square roots of 3 to the left. So I represent that mathematically by plus or minus square roots of 3. Eccentricity is c over a, so square roots of 3 over 2. Okay, feel free right now to pause and try D, and then I'm going to explain this whole thing though, because I think that one example of complete the square is probably not enough for some of you. So I'm going to go through the whole thing, but feel free to try it on your own and fast forward later if you need to. Okay. So first thing I want to do to complete the square, and the reason I'm doing that is so I can have it in my correct format, I want to gather my x's together, leave a blank because there is a x squared, gather my y's together, leave a blank because there is a y squared, move my number over, and leave 2 blanks. All right. The x's this time needs to have a 4 factored out. And then I am ready to complete my square. And I end up with 10 for my b value then. So b over 2 squared is -5 squared. Okay, so 25. And now this seems like we're getting to be really big numbers, but you know what? There's a -148 on the right side, so I know I'm going to have a lot of positives to make that positive, and it ends up being, remember, you do that number in front times that number to get what you added over here, because I haven't really added 25, I've really added 4 times 25, or 100. Okay, and then this factors into x minus 5, so 4 times x minus 5 squared, and let's do the y's. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 squared is 64, and there's no number in front, no parentheses or anything, so I'm just adding 64 to the other side. And that factors into y minus 8, so that is y minus 8 squared. And by the way, -148 plus 100 plus 64 is 16. And now we're at the stage where, remember I said, for an ellipse, that number always, always, always has to be a 1. So to make it a 1, this time I'm dividing everything by 16. And so here's my equation then. I have a 1 there. Here with the y's, 16 has nobody to combine with, so it's just, there it is. And then here, 4 divided by 16 is 1/4. So here's my equation, and My A value is 4 this time, square roots of 16, and B value is 2. And notice I had 3 examples in a row where the A value went with X. This time, please take note of the fact that the A value goes with Y. So that means this time to find my vertices, I'm going to go in the Y direction. Let's find our center first, though. Okay, so center is 5, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then again, this time my vertices are in the Y direction. So to find my vertices, I'm going 4 units either way in the Y direction. 1, 2, 3, and then trying to follow my graphing system the best I can. All right, and it looks like my vertices are then going to be at 5, plus 4, okay, 5, minus 4. So 5, 12, and 5, 4. Covertices are in the X direction this time, so 2 units each way in the X direction. And here's what I end up with. I end up getting 3, 8. This time it has the same Y value as the center. And then if I go 2 units the other way, my graph is, sorry about the poor drawing, it ends up being 7, 8 though. And let's find our C value so I can find my foci. So C squared equals A squared minus B squared. You still always put A squared first, even if A squared came with the Y value. C squared equals 12, square root. Okay, and you know what? Just to add one layer of complexity, we're not going to write it as square roots of 12 because we know how to simplify that. When I simplify, it ends up being 2 square roots of 3. And then this time, my foci go in the Y direction. So for my values of my foci, if you look at what's happening here, this, if I drew correctly, these should all be in a straight line. So this has the same X value this time as the center, which is at 5, and this time the Y value, it starts at that 8 and it goes up 2 square roots of 3 and then down 2 square roots of 3 from the 8. And last but not least, my eccentricity is C over A. So C over A and reduce it. Please pause and feel free to go back and rewatch any of those that you need to. The next thing that we're going to talk about is how to create an equation with some given information. And you don't have to graph these, but almost every time it is recommended to create a little picture so you can figure stuff out. Basically, just if you think back, if I'm going to create an equation, basically I need to find the A value, and I need to find the VB value, and I need the center. So those are the 3 things I need. I need the center, the A value, and the B value. And we get it from looking at a picture. So first thing I would recommend you do is graph what I have. So the foci are at 3, 4 and 3, 0. And now I want to point out that, remember, the center is always equidistant from, it's always in the center of the foci or the vertices or the covertices. So my center has to be between these two, and it's going to end up right here at 3, 2. And what I did is I found the halfway point of these 2 spots. And I did it just by counting, honestly, because here is 2 units and here is 2 units. You could also use the midpoint formula, though, if you wanted to be more official about it. So I found out that my center is at 3, 2, and also that the C value is 2 units. And now I am also given my vertices. So in my head right away, I'm thinking vertices equal an A value. So if I can figure out the distance from the center to a vertex, it gives me the A value. I've got 3, 6 as one of my vertices. Vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is a distance from 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 units from the center. Whoa, unites. 4 unites from the center to the vertex. And so A, because it's a vertex, it's an A value, A is 4. And now, let me just pause for a second here. Remember that, actually I put this, but it could be like this. It depends on which direction you're going. So because I'm going in the Y direction, this A value this time is with Y. So let's just fill in what we know so far. Okay, so first of all, I know the A value goes with Y, and 4 squared is 16. I know that my center is at 3, 2. So I will write subtract 3, subtract 2. I need to find a B value. And we can find the B value using this formula from before. And I know that the C value is 2. So 2 squared equals 4 squared minus B squared. Or if you had known right away what these were, you could just write it out. But here's what I got. 4 equals 16 minus B squared. And go through and solve that. And you end up with negative 12 equals negative B squared. Okay, B is the square root of 12. And now, I don't really have to simplify that this time because I'm not trying to list what my covertices are. All I'm trying to do is put that into my formula, and right here is B squared. Square roots of 12 squared is 12, so I am putting a 12 right there, and I am done. You will occasionally have problems that are slightly easier than that. So why don't you look right now at part C. I think I meant to label that B and it didn't happen. Okay, this one is actually a little bit easier of a one. What's happening here is I actually know the vertices and the covertices. Yay! So I'm going to know the A value and the B value right away, which will save us some time. We still need to make a little picture though. Okay, so vertices are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and negative 5, 5. Well, that makes it kind of easy for us then. The center must be right in the middle here. So it's 5 units away from the vertex. And by the way, that is going in the x direction. So A is going to be 5 units and it's with the x. And the covertices, are at 0, 3 and 0, 7. You know what? That is 2 units away. So the B value is 2, and that is with the y because I counted in the y direction to get there. So right away, before I even do anything else, I know that, and we'll always put x first and y second. So with the x goes 5 squared, and with the y goes 2 squared. All right, now I didn't even write down yet what my center point is. I drew it in but didn't say it. Looks like my center is at 1, 2, looks like it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 5. So I'll do x minus 0 squared, or I can just say x squared, and y minus 5 squared. Okay, if you have extra time tonight, feel free to try C, but I'll go ahead and do the rest of these in class and answer other questions you might have tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.